Right, stop scrolling because what I'm about to expose is something that happens at used car dealerships across Britain every single day, and it happens specifically in the 2 hours before you arrive for your test drive. There is a preparation process that dealers run on every car before a customer sees it, and that process is specifically designed to hide problems, mask faults, and make cars that should raise serious concerns look and feel like solid purchases, not minor cosmetic tidying, not a quick clean. A systematic concealment operation that experienced mechanics can spot immediately, but that most buyers never detect until 3 months after purchase, when everything that was hidden starts revealing itself. And the people telling me this aren't disgruntled ex-employees with axes to grind. They're current and former dealer technicians who prepared these cars themselves, sales managers who oversaw the process, and independent inspectors who spend their working lives undoing what dealers spent the morning hiding. Stay with me. In 50 seconds, I'm going to describe a specific product, you can buy it on Amazon for £12, that dealers apply to engines before customer viewings. What this product does to an engine bay and what it conceals underneath the clean surface it creates has resulted in cars with serious oil leaks being sold as mechanically sound. I'll tell you exactly what it is and how to defeat it. But first, here is the number that explains why dealers invest in this concealment. The average profit margin on a used car sold without pre-sale preparation problems being disclosed is 4 times higher than the margin on a car where known problems are declared and reflected in the price. 4 times. That financial incentive is why the preparation process exists and why it's so thorough. 4 times higher margin on a car whose problems you're about to sit in and not notice, because the preparation was done professionally and specifically to prevent you noticing. Subscribe right now. Drop a comment telling me if you've ever bought a used car and discovered problems shortly after that weren't visible at the test drive. Because the replies to that question are going to be very revealing. Let's crack on. What they hide. Number 1. Oil leaks using engine degreaser. This is the £12 Amazon product. It's called an engine degreaser, sold legitimately for cleaning dirty engines, used by dealers to eliminate the visual evidence of oil leaks before customer inspection. A former dealer preparation technician in Bristol who spent 6 years preparing used cars before going independent described the process. Every car that came in for sale got an engine bay inspection. If there was an oil leak, and there often was on anything over 40,000 miles, the first decision was whether to fix it or clean it. Fixing it takes time and money. Cleaning it takes 20 minutes and 12 quid. The decision was almost always to clean it. The degreaser removes oil residue from the engine bay so comprehensively that a freshly cleaned engine looks like a new car's engine. No residue. No dark patches, no evidence of the leak that was present when the car arrived. The customer opens the bonnet, sees a clean engine bay and thinks, good sign, well maintained, the Bristol technician said. They're actually seeing the evidence of a hasty clean. The leak is still there. The component that's failing is still failing. In 2 to 3 weeks of normal driving, the fresh oil will have accumulated again and the problem will be visible. By then, the customer has bought the car. The defeat. Ask the dealer to let you wipe the engine bay with a clean white cloth immediately before your viewing, not before theirs. Any oil residue that transfers is evidence of a leak. Better, insist on an independent inspection where the inspector lifts the car and looks from underneath, where degreaser rarely reaches, and where oil leak evidence accumulates most clearly. An independent vehicle inspector in Cardiff described what he finds underneath cars that passed a casual bonnet inspection. I find active oil leaks on approximately 30% of used cars I inspect professionally, where the buyer saw a clean engine bay and assumed no leaks. The degreaser is standard practice. Looking underneath isn't. What they hide. Number 2. Gearbox problems with oil change and additive. Gearbox issues, juddering, hesitation, rough shifting are among the most expensive repairs in any used car. They're also the most commonly masked in the pre-sale preparation window. A transmission specialist in Sheffield who also provides pre-purchase inspection services described the standard dealer masking procedure. Fresh gearbox oil plus an additive, specifically a friction modifier, will make a worn dual clutch or automatic gearbox feel significantly smoother for approximately 500 to 1,000 miles. During that window, the car drives well. The test drive is 15 miles. The customer doesn't experience anything concerning. 3 months later, the fresh oil has been contaminated by the wear particles it was temporarily flushing through. the additive has lost effectiveness, and the original symptoms return, usually worse than before. The friction modifier is the critical element. These additives, sold legitimately for older gearboxes that need friction characteristic adjustment, temporarily coat worn clutch surfaces and solenoids with a film that improves their function. The film wears off. The underlying wear remains. An independent inspector in Exeter described how to identify fresh gearbox oil as a masking indicator rather than a service benefit. Ask for the service history documentation for the gearbox oil change. If it was done in the weeks immediately before the car went on sale, particularly if there's no similar maintenance in the previous history, treat it as a red flag rather than a benefit. A dealer who services gearboxes proactively throughout ownership has documentation of a pattern. A dealer who does it immediately before sale has documentation of a concealment. The test drive technique that defeats gearbox masking. Cold start, immediate reverse maneuver before the gearbox reaches operating temperature. DCT gearbox problems are most pronounced when cold. A car with a masked gearbox fault will often show hesitation or juddering in the first 60 seconds of operation that smooth out as temperature rises. Dealers warm cars before viewing, specifically because this pre-temperature performance is revealing. What they hide. Number 3. Warning lights cleared with OBD scanner. Every fault that generates a warning light on your dashboard has a corresponding fault code stored in the car's electronic control units. These codes trigger the warning light. They can also be cleared with any OBD diagnostic scanner, a device that connects to your car's diagnostic port and deletes the stored fault record. A former sales manager at a dealer group in Leeds described the process internally. Before any car went on the forecourt, it had an OBD scan. Any fault codes present were noted. Anything that would require expensive repair was discussed. Could we clear it and sell the car before it returns? On intermittent faults, the answer was usually yes. Clear it, the light goes out, the car looks clean on the dashboard. We'd have maybe a 50-50 chance it hadn't returned before the test drive. 50-50 chance the fault hadn't returned. Those are the odds you're inheriting when you test drive a car from a dealer who hasn't disclosed known faults. The specific faults most commonly cleared in this manner: DPF warning lights from blocked diesel particulate filters, engine management lights from oxygen sensor degradation, gearbox fault codes from solenoid wear, emission system warnings from EGR valve issues. Each represents a genuine fault requiring several hundred to several £1,000s in repair. Each can be cleared in 30 seconds with a device costing £40. The codes come back, the lead sales manager said, always, sometimes within days, sometimes within weeks. But by then, the car's been sold and the dealer's position is that it wasn't present at point of sale, which is technically true because they cleared it. The defeat? Carry your own OBD reader on any test drive. They cost £30 to £50 from Amazon. Plug it in during the test drive. The diagnostic port is usually under the dashboard near the steering column. The reader will tell you if any codes are present. If a dealer objects to you connecting your own diagnostic equipment, that objection is itself diagnostic. What they hide. Number 4. Brake wear and suspension noise. Brake and suspension wear are the two categories where dealers most consistently make decisions that an independent engineer would describe as bordering on dangerous. Selling cars with worn components while creating conditions during the test drive that prevent those components from revealing themselves. A vehicle safety inspector in Plymouth who provides pre-purchase inspections described the brake preparation technique. Worn brake discs develop scoring. Grooves from pad wear that create vibration and noise under braking. Dealers apply a product to the disc surface that temporarily fills the scoring. The car stops smoothly for the first few braking events. After 50 to 100 miles, the product has worn off and the scoring is performing exactly as it was before. The surface application takes 10 minutes. It can make a car with worn discs that should fail an MOT feel like it has new brakes during a test drive. Brake replacement on a family car is £600 to £1,000, depending on whether pads and discs need replacing and how many axles are involved. Suspension noise concealment is the second technique. Worn suspension bushes and ball joints create knocking and creaking, sounds that immediately alert any informed driver to wear or damage. Dealers apply lubricant to these components before viewings. The lubricant eliminates the noise temporarily by reducing friction at the worn interface. The lubricant lasts days to weeks depending on weather and mileage, the Plymouth inspector said, but the bush or ball joint is worn. The lubricant isn't fixing anything, it's silencing the symptom while the structural wear remains. A worn ball joint is a safety issue. Lubricating it and selling the car without disclosure is not something I can find justification for. The defeat: request your test drive route to include speed bumps driven slowly and a section of uneven road surface. Suspension faults reveal themselves most clearly at low speed over uneven surfaces. Conditions that smooth motorway test drive routes are specifically designed to avoid. Listen for any creak, knock, or thud that occurs over bumps or during slow maneuvers. Stop. What we've established so far: engine degreaser hiding active oil leaks that will be visible again within weeks. Gearbox oil changes with friction modifier additives masking worn transmissions for the duration of the test drive window. OBD scanners clearing warning lights that will return once the car's yours. Brake and suspension treatments silencing symptoms of components that should be disclosed or replaced. And we've got 4 more concealment techniques to cover. The next 4 move from mechanical concealment into documentation falsification and structural damage hiding, the territory where what dealers are doing isn't just commercially cynical but potentially illegal. Drop a comment right now. Have you discovered anything after a used car purchase that wasn't visible at the test drive? Tell me what it was and how long it took to appear. Your experience is exactly what someone watching this needs to hear. 4 more. The final one involves a structural inspection technique so simple it costs nothing, and that dealers are counting on you not knowing. What they hide number 5. Paint defects and panel repairs using spray wax and paint pens. The cosmetic preparation of used cars is where some of the most systematic concealment occurs, because cosmetic condition is what buyers assess most readily and where the value differential between acceptable and good condition is most significant. A former body shop estimator in Norwich who now works as an independent vehicle condition appraiser described the standard cosmetic preparation toolkit. Paint pens for stone chips. They're color matched, fill chips adequately, and survive weeks of normal weather before they begin to look different from the surrounding paint. Spray wax over paint repairs to equalize the gloss finish. A repair done with cheaper paint that doesn't quite match the original surface looks far better under a coat of high gloss wax. And touch-up over scratches that are just shallow enough that touch-up holds without obvious color mismatch. The paint pen technique is the one that most consistently deceives buyers who know to look for repairs. Stone chips filled with paint pen look under casual inspection like intact paint. The key that distinguishes them from original paint is texture. Paint pen applied over a chip sits proud of the surrounding paint surface and has a different light reflection characteristic. In overhead lighting in a showroom, this difference isn't apparent. In natural daylight at an angle, it's visible. A panel repair concealed with additional wax has a specific tell that condition appraisers exploit. Polish, applied over bodywork at varying thicknesses, leaves swirl marks under specific lighting angles. Areas with recent wax application over a repair show polish swirl patterns that don't match the surrounding panel's swirl pattern. The surrounding panel was machined to its finish at the factory, the repair was polished by hand. The technique that defeats all cosmetic concealment costs nothing, the Norwich appraiser said. Look at every panel from a low angle with the sun or a bright light source behind you. Every paint irregularity, every repair, every mismatched panel becomes visible that way. Dealers view their stock in overhead lighting. Look at it in backlight. You'll see everything they've prepared to hide. What they hide number 6. Accident damage history through deep cleaning and detailing. Significant accident damage, structural repairs, replacement panels, resprayed sections leaves evidence inside the car that dealers clean before viewings. The evidence is in the places cleaners don't easily reach. A vehicle provenance investigator in Cambridge who works for insurers and legal firms described where accident repair evidence accumulates: seam sealer in door and boot apertures, the way the carpet lifts at the edges in the boot. Overspray in the door shuts, paint applied during repair that reaches the shut face, replaced bolts in structural panels that show bright metal rather than factory coating. These are the markers that tell you panels have been replaced or structural work done. The detailed clean that dealers apply before viewings, sometimes costing £300 to £500 at professional detailers, addresses carpets, plastics and visible surfaces comprehensively. It does not address door shut faces properly. It does not restore seam sealer to its original appearance. It does not recoat bolts that show repair intervention. I check door shut faces on every pre-purchase inspection. the Cambridge investigator said. Overspray from a repair that extended to adjacent panels is consistently the most reliable indicator of accident history that hasn't been disclosed. A car with full respray of one side will have overspray in the door shuts on that side. No cleaning or detailing removes it, it's there permanently. The specific check: open every door and boot lid fully. Look at the painted surface of the door shut, the frame that the door seals against. Original factory paint has specific texture and finish. Overspray from repair work applied to an adjacent panel looks different, sometimes in color, always in texture. Look at the bolts visible in door apertures. Bright bolts in structural panels indicate replacement. Factory bolts are coated, replaced bolts often aren't recoated. What they hide. Number 7. Mechanical noise using sound, deadening and temporary fixes. This category covers the specific techniques used to silence mechanical noises that would alert a buyer to engine, drivetrain or suspension issues during a test drive. Noises beyond the suspension lubricant technique described earlier. A dealer preparation technician in Leicester who now works independently described the specific mechanical noise concealment toolkit. Timing chain rattle, the noise that signals imminent expensive engine repair, is quieted temporarily with heavier viscosity oil. Thicker oil provides more cushioning at the chain tensioner interface. The rattle reduces or disappears. The chain is still worn, the tensioner is still failing, but the noise isn't there during the test drive. Heavier viscosity oil substituted for the manufacturer-specified grade, an intervention that also increases oil pressure readings, potentially masking low oil pressure warnings that would otherwise indicate bearing wear. The thick oil flows less efficiently at cold start, which is when worn engine components are most vulnerable, but the test drive typically occurs after the car has been warmed up. A radiator hose or coolant pipe with minor weeping, not a full leak, but a developing one, is tightened with an additional Jubilee clip that prevents active weeping during the test drive period. The underlying material degradation continues. The clip delays the failure by weeks. The most sophisticated concealment I've seen was a car with a timing chain about to fail, the Leicester technician said. Heavy oil, engine run for 20 minutes before the customer arrived to fully warm everything and minimize cold start noise, and the test drive was kept to 5 minutes. The buyer had no idea. The timing chain failed 8 weeks after purchase. £4,000. The defeat? Insist on a cold start. Ask to be present when the car is first started in the morning. Cold start noise reveals what warm engine conditions conceal. Any dealer who resists a cold start inspection should be treated with immediate suspicion. There is no legitimate reason to refuse it. What they hide. Number 8. Finance encumbrance and true ownership history. The final concealment category is the one that creates the most serious legal and financial consequences for buyers, because it involves not mechanical problems but ownership problems that can result in the car being repossessed by a finance company after purchase. A consumer rights solicitor in Edinburgh who handles vehicle finance disputes described the scale of the problem. A significant proportion of used cars sold in the UK at any given time have outstanding finance secured against them. When a dealer purchases a car with outstanding finance and sells it without settling that finance, the buyer acquires the car subject to the finance company's legal charge over it. The finance company can repossess the car from the new owner to recover the debt. The buyer loses the car and must pursue the selling dealer for their money, a dealer who is often by then dissolved or unreachable. Dealers who acquire cars with outstanding finance can legitimately settle it and resell the car clean. Many do. Some don't, particularly where the finance outstanding exceeds what they paid for the car at auction, making settlement commercially unattractive. The concealment is straightforward. The dealer presents the car as clean titled, the buyer doesn't run an HPI check, assuming a dealer will have cleared any encumbrances, and the car is sold with a problem that won't manifest until the finance company's monthly payment system flags a missed payment on a registered keeper who no longer has the car. The HPI check is £30 to £40. The Edinburgh solicitor said, in every vehicle finance case I've handled where the buyer hadn't run an HPI check, the outcome was severe. Cars repossessed, money lost, dealers dissolved. The HPI check is not optional. It's the minimum due diligence for any used car purchase, regardless of seller type. Beyond finance encumbrance, ownership history concealment covers written-off vehicles presented with clean documentation. Category S and N write-offs can be retitled and sold without disclosure if the original identity has been obscured, a practice that requires VIN plate manipulation that is illegal but not always detected. A forensic vehicle examiner in Bristol described the physical check that reveals identity manipulation. The VIN is stamped in multiple locations on every vehicle. The dashboard VIN plate is what sellers present. It's also the easiest to manipulate. The chassis stampings, in the engine bay, in the door sills, in the boot floor, are the ones that matter. If the stamped VIN in 3 separate locations matches the plate, you have reasonable confidence. If they don't all match, you have evidence of manipulation. 3 locations: dashboard plate, engine bay stamping, boot floor or door sill stamping. If they don't all match perfectly, walk away immediately. Right then, 8 things used car dealers hide before you take the test drive, and specifically how to defeat each one. Number 1. Engine degreaser hiding active oil leaks. Defeat: wipe the engine bay with a white cloth yourself and insist on an inspection from underneath the car. Number 2. Gearbox oil and friction additive masking transmission wear. Defeat: check service history for gearbox oil changes immediately before sale and test the gearbox cold before it warms up. Number 3. OBD scanner clearing warning lights that will return. Defeat: bring your own £30 OBD reader and connect it during the test drive. Number 4. Brake surface treatment and suspension lubricant silencing worn components. Defeat: test drive route must include slow speed over uneven surfaces and listen in the first 60 seconds before everything warms up. Number 5. Paint pens and spray wax concealing panel damage and repairs. Defeat: look at every panel from a low angle with a light source behind you. Every repair becomes visible. Number 6. Deep cleaning hiding accident damage evidence. Defeat: inspect door shut faces for overspray and look at structural panel bolts for replacement evidence. Number 7. Heavy viscosity oil masking timing chain and engine wear. Defeat: insist on a cold start with you present. Any resistance to this is the most significant warning sign on this entire list. Number 8. Finance encumbrance and VIN manipulation hiding ownership problems. Defeat: HPI check is non-negotiable and verify VIN stamps in 3 separate locations independently of the dashboard plate. The cost of these 8 checks, approximately £70 to £100 total, OBD reader plus HPI check. The cost of the problems they protect you from, potentially tens of thousands of pounds. Drop a comment. Tell me if any of these techniques matches something you experienced after a used car purchase. Because the conversation between buyers sharing experience is the one the used car industry fears most. Subscribe and hit the notification bell, because this channel exists specifically to give you the information that the people selling you things would prefer you didn't have. Right then, that's it from me today. Thanks for watching, and remember, the preparation they do on the car before you arrive is designed for one purpose: to ensure you don't see what they see. See you next time. Cheers!